Blog Talk Radio.
When I call my phone, study war no more, live in shalom. Only 144,000 of Jacob will make it in. Is Christ your friend? No need to pretend. Here's the question: did you walk in faith or did you walk in sin? Did you keep the law or did you pick and choose? Did you tell the truth about who's the real Jew? There's no excuse, you had the clue, but you closed the book and turned on the news. And when Christ breaks the sky, every satellite will fall from space, hit the earth and die, and then right after disaster from the master. Puzzle faces looking for the rapture. True, the day that Christ provides birth so they can walk in heaven here on earth.
American dream, a family, a dog, a picket fence, and house that is clean. That's through the habit, it's just led me astray. The root of evil is money, it ain't the most highway. 144,000 will bask in his glory. Life is an apartment building, cause there's more than one story. I accepted the most high, and what was I on? Data past like Mike, and I'm the future like LeBron. I followed the commandments to the most high said so. Red Bull and Xbox, and get your wings in a halo. My people is flying, and it's making me sick. Just because you repent ain't putting you on that list. Ain't no cutting in line, ain't no paying the dough, man. Don't matter if you're rich or whether you're poor, man. If you're obedient and you're filled with the faith, then the upper room will be your final resting place, and that's heaven.
The throne of the Father, you still sinning, don't even bother. You not going if you follow Sean Carter. A little Wayne, he another Carter. Came from Obama, back to Jimmy Carter. America, not Babylon, it's just a daughter. Told us looking bitches that trying like 3/4. Son's gonna die, you make it call a martyr. So elevate your mind and it cross expansion. I want a room in a heavenly mansion. Don't try to figure out your path, don't let it choose you. You can play it back, I'm not trying to confuse you. Poetical prophet, proof that we the gifted. Cerebral technician, the microphone I lifted. Think you can take to get in, you can save it. Signing off quad to 6 foot David.
Let me tell you what it feel like. Real right, so I'm back in the feel like. Examine yourself before the judge come in the heat of the night like O'Connor. So I'm gonna show you how to live it when I spit it through the spirit. Hope you feel it. This is the spirit that teaches when you hear it. So when it's death is, it's death there. So don't step there. But self-rearrange and let the most high change you, my brother. That's what I utter with them dead bone tang. You them the strange fruit that used to hang. Now I'm spitting out truth for the youth to change. To see us like heaven. When them guns down, when the word is your weapon and the Lord to your weapon. Not Baal, but our master in heaven. And there's no more jails for the nation. That's heaven. Yes, that's heaven. Heaven.
It's the music of the Israelites right here on the Men Empowered Radio Show. You can find them at YouTube.com. Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you and wherever you are on the World Wide Web. You are listening to Let's Talk brought to you by the Men Empowered Radio Organization on the Blog Talk Radio Network at blogtalkradio.com. My name is Malachi. I am your host for another edition of Let's Talk right here on the Men Empowered Radio Show. It is a February the 24th, 2013. If you'd like to join in on our show while we are here live, you can hit us up at 347-205-9279, or you can chat with us right there in the chat room at Blog Talk Radio. And as always, our office here at the Men Empowered Organization is area code 504-484-9388, as well as our email address is menempoweredtoprosper@yahoo.com. And yes, we are Men Empowered at Twitter.com. Next episode is the Book of Jasher. We are at chapter 18, the Book of Jasher, chapter 18. My reader is not here with me tonight. Prior engagements going on with her tonight, so it will be yours truly, me, right here, Malachi, reading you the scriptures from the Book of Jasher, chapter 18. And we're going to start with that momentarily. Want to let you know that our regular programming is back on the air after the tornado that kind of skimmed by our Hattiesburg studio, only 3 blocks away from the disaster that hit us here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Just letting you know, we have studios in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, as well as New Orleans, Louisiana. So we were off the air for about a week due to a lot of wiring and everything going on in the Hattiesburg area. So we are back, and the recovery is doing well. But, you know, it takes time for all this destruction to get put out. But we are back right here on Blog Talk Radio and getting ready to go into the Book of Jasher. Letting you know, on Tuesday it is CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, and we're going to be continuing to talk about Esau and Jacob, the identity. Don't forget, we have a special guest here with us on this coming Thursday, the 28th, is Pastor Maurice Item. He will be with us here at 8 p.m. on the Let's Talk show. We will have him close to about maybe an hour to 2 hours. I know we're going to have a lot to talk about. Maurice Item was instrumental in giving me the word 23 years ago. He is the one that had a breakthrough in the information that we're talking about now. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about health, history, as building, just a whole lot. So you definitely want to be with us on Thursday, February the 28th, our last show for February. And Maurice Item, he will be with us right here on Let's Talk with Maurice Item. Okay, we're going to come back real quick. We're going to take a listen to Brother Joel McCrae. Irene will be back in 3 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and start the Book of Jasher, chapter 18, in about 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Saying hello to all my good friends right there in North Carolina. You know who you are. Glad to have you on board right here on the Let's Talk show. We are getting ready to go into the Book of Jasher. The Book of Jasher mentioned in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, and the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not written in the Book of Jasher. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hastened not to go down about a whole day. So the Book of Jasher, if you're joining with us for the very first time in a while, to all of our friends in the North Carolina area, you can find a reference to the Book of Jasher in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13. 18, the book of Jasher. Now, we are in the book of Jasher, chapter 18. And the Most High said to Joshua that meditate in the word day and night, and you shall have good success. So one of the books that Joshua had meditated on was the book of Jasher. Now, chapter 18, verse 1. And Abraham rose and did all that the Most High had ordered him. And he took the men of his household and those brought with his money, and he circumcised them as the Most High had commanded him. Verse 2. And there was not one left whom he did not circumcise. And Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised in the flesh of their foreskin. 13 years old was Ishmael when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Verse 3. And in the third day Abraham went out of his tent and sat at the door to enjoy the heat of the sun, doing the pain of his flesh. Why was he in pain? Because Abraham himself was circumcised. Verse 4 of chapter 18 of Jasher. And the Most High appeared to him in the plain of Mamre, and sent 3 of his ministering angels to visit him. And he was sitting at the door of the tent, and he lifted his eyes and saw, and lo, 3 men were coming from a distance. And he rose up and ran to meet them, and he bowed down to them and brought them into his house. Verse 5. And he said to them, if now I have found favor in your sight, turn in and eat a morsel of bread. And he pressed them, and they turned in, and he gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he placed them under a tree at the door of the tent. Verse 6 of chapter 18. And Abraham ran and took a calf, tender and good, and he hastened to kill it, and gave it to his servant Eliezer to dress. Verse 7. And Abraham came to Sarah into the tent, and he said to her, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal. Knead it and make cakes to cover the pot containing the meat. And she did so. Verse 8. And Abraham hastened and brought before them butter and milk, beef and mutton, and gave it before them to eat, before the flesh of the calf was sufficient done, and they did eat. Verse 9 of the book of Jasher, chapter 18. And when they had done eating, one of them said to him, I will return to thee according to the time of life, and Sarah thy wife shall have a son. Verse 10. And the men afterward departed and went their ways to the place to which they were sent. Verse 11. In those days all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and of the whole 5 cities were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Most High. They provoked the Most High with their abominations and their strengthening in agony abominably and scornfully before the Most High, and their wickedness and crimes were in those days great before the Most High. Verse 12. And they had in their land a very intensive valley, about half a day's walk, and in it there were fountains of water and a great deal of herbage surrounding the water. Verse 13. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah went there 4 times in a year, with their wives and children and all belonging to them, and they rejoiced there with timbrels and dancers. I'm going to back up and I'm going to read verse 13. Now you will notice that I believe in verse In verse 11, it talks about in Sodom and Gomorrah, of the whole 5 cities were exceedingly wicked. Now, in verse 13, it's talked about the wives and the children. So the wives and the children were all inside of Sodom and Gomorrah. I just want to let you know that the sins of the parent, because the parent is responsible for the children were consumed in this awful destruction as well. So it's not just about us, it's about our children as well. And I want to let you all know, if you're joining with us for the very first time, we know who the 12 tribes of Israel are. The 12 tribes of Israel, because of our forefathers' sin, we were made to be slaves in captivity because of our forefathers' sin against the Most High. It is the same thing that happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Because of the sins of their fathers, their forefathers, the children suffered in this destruction as well. Verse 13, and I'll read it again. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah went there 4 times in the year with their wives and children. This lets me know they had wives and children in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all belonging to them, and they rejoiced there with timbrings and dances. Verse 14, and in the time of rejoicing they would all rise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives, and some the virgins' daughters of their neighbors, and they enjoyed them, and each man saw his wife and daughter in the hands of his neighbor, and did not say a word. Verse 15, and they did so from morning to night, and they afterward returned home, each man to his house, and each woman to her tent. So they always did 4 times in the year. Verse 16, also when a stranger came into the cities and brought goods which he had purchased with a view to dispose of there, the people of these cities would assemble, men, women, and children, young and old, and go to the man and take his goods by force, giving a little to each man until there was an end to all the goods of the owner which he had brought into the land. Verse 17, and if the owner of the goods quarrel with them, saying, what is this work which you have done to me? Then they would approach to him one by one, and each would show him the little which he took, and taught him, saying, I only took the little which thou didst give me. And when he heard this from them all, he would arise and go from them in sorrow and bitterness of soul, when they would all arise and go after him and drive him out of the city with great noise and turmoil. Verse 18, and there was a man from the country of Elam, who was leisurely going on the road, seated upon his ass, which carried a fine mantle of divers colors, and the mantle was bound with a cord upon the ass. Verse 19, and the man was on his journey, passing through the street of Sodom, when the sun set in the evening, and he remained there in order to abide during the night, but no one would let him into his house. And at that time there was in Sodom a wicked and mischievous man, one skillful to do evil, and his name was Hadad. Verse 20, and he lifted up his eyes and saw the traveler in the street of the city, and he came to him and said, whence come thou, and whither dost thou goest? And the man said to him, verse 21, and the man said to him, I am traveling from Hebron to Elam, where I belong. And as I passed, the sun set, and no one would suffer me to enter his house, though I had bread and water, and also straw and provender for my ass, and am short of nothing. Verse 22. And he that answered and said to him, all that thou shalt want shall be supplied by me, but in the street thou shalt not abide all night. Verse 23. And he that brought him to his house, and he took off the mantle from the ass, cord, brought them to his house, and he gave the ass straw and provender, while the traveler ate and drank in Hedad's house, and he abode there that night. Verse 24. And in the morning the traveler rose, he rose up early to continue his journey, when Hedad said to him, wait, comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and then go. And the man did so, and he remained with him, and they both ate and drank together during the day, when the man rose up to go. Verse 25. And Hedad said to him, behold, now the day is declining, thou hadst better remain all night, that thy heart may be comforted. And he pressed him so that he tarried there all night. And on the second day he rose up early to go away, when Hedad pressed him, saying, comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and then go. And he remained and ate also the second day. And then the man rose up to continue his journey. Verse 26. And Hedad said to him, behold, now the day is declining, remain with me to comfort thy heart, and in the morning rise up and go thy way. Verse 27. And the man would not remain, and rose and saddled his ass, and while he was saddling his ass, the wife of Hedad said to her husband, behold, this man has remained with us for 2 days, eating and drinking, and he has given us nothing, and now shall he go away from us without giving anything? And Hedad said to her, be silent. Verse 28. And the man saddled his ass to go, and he asked Hedad to give him the cord and mantle to tie it upon the ass. Verse 29. And Hedad said to him, what sayest thou? And he said to him, that thou, my Lord, shalt give me the cord and the mantle made with divers colors, which thou didst conceive with thee in thy house, to take care of it. Verse 30. And Hedad answered the man, saying, this is the interpretation of thy dream. The cord which thou didst see means that thy life will be lengthened out like a cord. And having seen the mantle colored with all sorts of colors, meaning thou shalt have a vineyard in which thou wilt plant trees of all fruits. Verse 31. And the traveler answered, saying, not so, my Lord, for I was awake when I gave thee the cord, and also a mantle woven with different cords, which thou didst take off the ass to put them by for me. And Hedad answered and said, surely I have told thee the interpretation of thy dream, and it is a good dream, and this is the interpretation of thereof. Verse 32. Now the sons of men give me 4 pieces of silver, which is my charge for interpreting dreams, and of thee only I require 3 pieces of silver. Verse 33. And the man was provoked at the words of Hedad, and he cried bitterly, and he brought Hedad to Shirach, judge of Sodom. Verse 34. And the man laid his cause before Shirach the judge, when Hedad replied, saying, it is not so, but thus the matter stand. And the judge said to the traveler, this man Hedad telleth thee truth, for he is famed in the cities for the acquired interpretation of dreams. Now, you know, we're just about getting ready to end in the chapter 18. We're going to take another music break, but you can see all the things that is going on, all the corrupt things that is going on in Sodom. Verse 35, and the man cried at the word of the judge, and he said, not so, my lord, for it was in the day that I gave him the cord and mantle which was upon the ass, in order to put them by in his house, and they brought disputes before the judge, the one saying thus the matter was, and the other declaring otherwise. Verse 36, and he that said to the man, give me 4 pieces of silver, and I change for my interpretation of dreams. I will not make any allowances, and give me the expense of the 4 meals that thou didst eat in my house. Verse 37, and the man said to he that, truly I will pay thee for what I ate in thy house. Only give me the cords and mantle which thou didst conceive in thy house. Verse 38, and he that replied before the judge and said to the man, did I not tell thee the interpretation of thy dream? The cord means with that thy days shall be prolonged like a cord, and the mantle that thou will have a vineyard in which thou wilt plant all kinds of fruit trees. Verse 39, this is the proper interpretation of thy dreams. Now give me the 4 pieces of silver that I require as my compensation, for I will make thee no allowances. Verse 40, and the man cried at the words of Hedad, and they both quarreled before the judge, and the judge gave orders to his servant, who drove them rashly from the house. Verse 41, and they went away quarreling from the judge. When the people of Sodom heard them, and they gathered about them, and they exclaimed against the stranger, and they drove him rashly from the city. Verse 42, and the man continued his journey upon his ass with bitterness of soul, lamenting and weeping. Verse 43, and whilst he was going along, he wept at what had happened to him in the corrupt city of Sodom. Chapter 19. We will get back. Going to take about maybe 3-4 minute break real quick, and we'll be right back with chapter 19.
Read it. Verse 12. Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea.
And they shall wander from sea to sea. That means you're going from this place to this place. Well, let me go over here. Oh, Islam, I don't like that. Well, let me go over to the Christian church. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe let me go into Hinduism. Well, I don't know. I don't like this church because this preacher says this. I don't like this church because this preacher says that. Let me tell you, if you were in the Word, it wouldn't matter what the preacher was saying. If you was in the Word, you'll be able to see over what he's teaching. But you're going from sea to sea, all over the place. Read.
Amos chapter 8, verse 12. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east.
Go ahead.
They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Most High, and shall not find it.
You're going to wish one day you was able to sit in your cushy house and cut on your computer and see the word of the Most High. You're going to long for that time. You're going to wish you had that opportunity. Soon reading the Bible is going to be against the law of the earth. Soon. They're moving everyone into a new age movement. And the only thing you can believe in is yourself. And you are being programmed. That's going to be the belief system. Yourself. That's the new age movement. How grim and dark the government of this earth is. That all of them are in league and are in bed with Satan. That's the truth. Not one of them are with the Most High. Why? Because this kingdom was given into the hand of Satan. Job 9 and 24 tells you the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. So in order for you to rule in this government, you must go to Satan to get your power. He tried to offer it to Christ, Christ denied it. But who took it? All the governments in this earth who will soon pay. They live lavishly in this earth, off of bones, blood, sweat, and tears for the children of Israel. Yes, but now they have to pay. It's time. All these wars in the earth are culminating. They're leading to their own demise. And we're just the people with no weapon. This is our weapon. The only thing we have is this, Christ, in the name of the Most High, and we'll win.
And it's the music and words of the Gathering of Christ Church. You can find them right here at Blog Talk Radio at GOCC. That's GOCC. They're here 4 nights a week right here on Blog Talk Radio. Also, you can check them out at www.gatheringofchrist.org. That's www.gatheringofchrist.org. We are continuing the Book of Jasher, and we're beginning now with chapter 19. We've just finished chapter 18, and now we're on chapter 19 and getting a little sticky right here in the city of Sodom that we found out in chapter 18. So now we are in chapter 19. Chapter 19, verse 1. And the cities of Sodom had 4 judges. The city of Sodom, Shechar in Gomorrah, Zabanich in Amar, and Menon in Zeboim. Verse 2. And Eleazar, Abraham's servant, applied to them different names, and he converted Sirach to Shechar, and Shechar to Shekara, Zebach to Gizabomb, and Menon to Matzlonden. Verse 3 in Jasher chapter 19. And by desire of their 4 judges, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah had beds erect in the streets of the cities. And if a man came to place, they laid hold of him and brought him to one of their beds, and by force made him to lie in them. Verse 4. And as he lay down, 3 men would stand in his head and 3 at his feet, and measure him by the length of the bed. And if the man was less than the bed, these 6 men would stretch him at each end. And when he cried out to them, they would not answer him. Verse 5. And if he was longer than the bed, they would draw together the 2 sides of the bed at each end until the man had reached the gates of death. Verse 6. And if he continued to cry out to them, they would answer him, saying, Thus shall it be done to a man that cometh into our land. Now, we're just finished up chapter 18, where the Most High has already declared Sodom and Gomorrah doing great evils in his sight. So now we're in chapter 19 at verse 7. And when men heard all these things that the people of the cities of Sodom did, they refrained from coming there. Verse 8. And when a poor man came to their land, they would give him silver and gold, and caused a proclamation in the whole city not to give him a morsel of bread to eat. And if the stranger should remain there some days and die from hunger, not having been able to obtain a morsel of bread, then at his death all the people of the city would come and take their silver and gold which they had given to him. Verse 9. And those that could recognize the silver of gold which they had given him took it back. And at his death they also stripped him of his garments, and they will fight about them. And he that prevailed over his neighbors took them. Verse 10. They would after that carry him and bury him under some of the scrubs in the deserts. So they did all the days to anyone that came to them and died in their land. Verse 11. And in the course of time, Sarah sent Elzer to Sodom to see Lot and inquire after his welfare. And Eleazar went to Sodom, and he met a man of Sodom fighting with a stranger. And the man of Sodom stripped the poor man of all his clothes and went away. And the poor man cried to Eleazar and supplicated his favor on account of what the man of Sodom had done to him. And he said to him, Why dost thou act thus to the poor man who came to thy land? Verse 15. And the man of Sodom answered Eleazar, saying, Is this man thy brother, or have the people of Sodom made thee a judge this day, that thou speakest about this man? Verse 16. And Eleazar strove with the man of Sodom on account of the poor man, and when Eleazar approached to recover the poor man's clothes from the man of Sodom, he hastened and with a stone smote Eleazar in the forehead. Verse 17. And the blood flowed from Eleazar's forehead, and when the man saw the blood, he caught hold of Eleazar, saying, Give me my hire for having rid thee of this bad blood that was in thy forehead, for such is the custom and law in our land. Verse 18. And Eleazar said to him, Thou hast wounded me and requires me to pay thee thy hire. And Eleazar would not hearken to the words of the man of Sodom. Verse 19. And the man laid hold of Eleazar and brought him to Sharat the judge of Sodom for judgment. Verse 20. And the man spoke to the judge, saying, I beseech thee, my lord, thus has this man done, for I smote him with a stone, that the blood flowed from his forehead, and he is unwilling to give me my hire. And the judge said to Eleazar, This man speaketh truth to thee. Give him his hire, for this is the custom in our land. And Eleazar heard the words of the judge, and he lifted up a stone and smote the judge, and the stone struck on his forehead, and the blood flowed from the forehead of the judge. And Eleazar said, If this then is the custom in your land, give thou unto this man what I should have given him, for this has been thy decision, thou didst decree it. Verse 22. And Eleazar left the man of Sodom with the judge, and he went away. Verse 23. And when the king of Elam had made war with the kings of Sodom, the kings of Elam captured all the property of Sodom, and they took Lot captive with his property. And when it was told to Abraham, he went and made war with the king of Elam, and he recovered from their hands all the property of Lot, as well as the property of Sodom. Verse 24. At that time the wife of Lot bare him a daughter, and he called her Pati, saying, Because the Most High had delivered him and his whole household from the king of Elam. And Pati, daughter of Lot, grew up, and one of the men of Sodom took her for a wife. And a poor man came into, verse 25, and the poor man came into the city to seek a maintenance, and he remained in the city 7 days. And all the people of Sodom caused a proclamation of their custom not to give this man a morsel of bread to eat until he dropped dead upon the earth, and they did so. And Pati, the daughter of Lot, saw this man lying in the streets, starved with hunger, and no one would give him anything to keep him alive. And he was just upon the point of death. Verse 27. And her soul was filled with pity on account of the man, and she fed him secretly with bread for many days, and the soul of this man was revived. Verse 28. For when she went forth to fetch water, she would put the bread in the water pitcher, and when she came to the place where the poor man was, she took the bread from the pitcher and gave it to him, so that he may eat for many days. Verse 29. And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah wondered how this man could bear starvation for so many days. Verse 30. And they said to each other, this can only be that he eats and drinks, for no man can bear starvation for so many days or live as this man has, without even his countenance changing. And 3 men concealed themselves in a place where the poor man was stationed, to know who it was that brought him bread to eat. And Piti, daughter of Lot, went forth that day to fetch water, and she put bread into her pitcher of water, and she went to draw water by the poor man's place. And she took out the bread from the pitcher and gave it to the poor man, and he ate it. Verse 32. And the 3 men saw what Piti did to the poor man, and they said to her, it is God then who has supported him, and therefore has he not starved, nor changed in appearance, nor died like the rest. Verse 33. And the 3 men went out of the place in which they were concealed, and they seized Piti and the bread which was in the poor man's hand. Verse 34. And they took Piti and brought her before their judges, and they said to them, thus did she do, and it is who supplied the poor man with bread, therefore did not die all this time. Now therefore declare to us the punishment due to this woman for having transgressed our law. And the people of Sodom and Gomorrah assembled and kindled a fire in the street of the city. And they took the woman and cast her into the fire, and she was burned to ashes. And in the city of Ammah there was a woman to whom they did the like. 37. For a traveler came into the city of Ammah to abide there all night, with the intention of going home in the morning, and he sat opposite the door of the house of the young woman's father to remain there, as the sun had set when he had reached that place. And the young woman saw him sitting by the door of the house. Verse 38. And he asked her for a drink of water, and she said to him, who art thou? And he said to her, I was this day going on the road, and reached here when the sun set, so I will abide here all night, and in the morning I will arise early and continue my journey. Verse 39. And the young woman went into the house and fetched the man bread and water to eat and drink. Verse 40. And this affair became known to the people of Ammah, and they assembled and brought the young woman before the judges, that they should judge her for this act. Verse 41. And the judge said, the judgment of death must pass upon this woman, because she transgressed our law. And this, therefore, is the decision concerning her. Verse 42. And the people of those cities assembled and brought out the young woman, and anointed her with honey, and from head to foot, as the judge had decreed, and they placed her before a swarm of bees, which were then in their hives. And the bees flew upon her and stung her, that her whole body was swelled. Verse 43. And the young woman cried out on account of the bees, but no one took notice of her or pitied her, and her cries ascended to heaven. And the Most High was provoked at this and at all the works of the city of Sodom, for they had abundance of food and had tranquility among them, and still would not sustain the poor and the needy. And in those days their evil doings and sins became great before the Most High. And the Most High, verse 45, sent for two of the angels that had come to Abraham's house to destroy Sodom and its cities. Now I see the whole picture, not just the homosexuality of the things that went on in Sodom and Gomorrah, but just plain pure wickedness among the people. When strangers come into that city, not knowing the custom of these people, they would be sought after and killed because they were strangers to that particular city. Verse 46, and the angels rose up from the door of Abraham's tent after they had eaten and drunk, and they reached Sodom in the evening. And Lot was then sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when he saw them he rose to meet them, and he bowed down to the ground. Verse 47, and he pressed them greatly and brought them into the house, and he gave them victuals which they ate, and they abode all night in his house. Now I see why Lot had to bring them into his house, because if the men saw him, they would just do wicked things among him, not just homosexual activity, but all the other things. See the difference between the book of Jasher and Genesis? Now I have that understanding. Verse 48, and the angel said to Lot, arise, go forth from this place, thou and all belong to thee, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of this city, for the Most High will destroy this place. Verse 49, and the angels laid hold upon the hand of Lot, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hands of his children, and all belonging to him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the cities. And they said to Lot, escape thy life. And he fled, and all belonging to him. Verse 51, then the Most High rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah, and upon all the cities brimstone and fire from the Most High of heaven. Verse 52, and he overthrew these cities, all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. And although the wife of Lot looked back to see the destructions of the city, for her compassion was moved on account of her daughters who remained in Sodom, for they did not go with her. Now I understand. Praise the Most High. Now I understand why she turned around. Why she turned around and looked at the destruction. Now I understand. Verse 53, and when she looked back, she became a pillar of salt, and it is yet in that place unto this day. And there is a picture of Lot's wife still in the realms of that particular era. You can find that. All you got to do is Google that, and you will find that they do still have that picture, because she is to remain a what you call a witness for all to see that she disobeyed the Most High before she was turned into the pillar of salt. Verse 54, And the oxen which stood in the place daily licked up the salt to the exterminators of their feet. And in the morning it would spring forth afresh, and they again licked it up unto this day. Verse 55. And Lot and the two of his daughters that remained with him fled and escaped to the cave of Adullam, and they remained there for some time. Verse 56. And Abraham rose up early in the morning to see what had been done to the cities of Sodom. And he looked and beheld the smoke of the cities going up like the smoke of a furnace. Now you know that had to look just like a nuclear mushroom cloud. If you have any questions or comments, you can press 1 on your phone. For those of you all who are in the chat room, if you have any comment or question, we'll go ahead and listen to them. We are now into the overtime part of our lesson. The number to call is 347-205-9279 when we are here live. Okay, verse 56 again. And Abraham rose up early in the morning to see what had been done to the cities of Sodom, and he looked and beheld the smoke of the cities going up like the smoke of a furnace. Verse 57. And Lot and his two daughters remained in the cave, and they made their father drink wine, and they lay with him, for they said there was no man upon the earth that could raise up seed from them, for they thought that the whole earth was destroyed. Verse 58. And they both lay with their father, and they conceived and bare sons. And the firstborn called the name of the son Moab. That's M-O-A-B, saying, From my father did I conceive him. He is the father of the Moabites unto this day. Verse 59. And the younger also called her son Benami. He is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. Verse 60. And after this, Lot and his two daughters went away from there, and he dwelt on the other side of the Jordan with his two daughters and their sons. And the sons of Lot grew up, and they went and took themselves wives from the land of Canaan, and they begot children, and they were fruitful and multiplied. Now we're reading to the last chapter for the night. The last chapter for the night will be chapter 20 of the Book of Jasher. The Book of Jasher, chapter 20. Now I get the understanding. I really get the understanding now that what is the reason why Lot's wife turned her head. We do not know the full account until we actually read in the Book of Jasher. Chapter 20, verse 1. And at the time Abraham journeyed from the plains of Mamre, and he went to the land of the Philistines, and he dwelt in Gerar. It was in the 25th year of Abraham being in the land of Canaan, and the 100th year of the life of Abraham, that he came to Gerar in the land of the Philistines. Verse 2. And when they entered the land, he said to Sarah his wife, Say thou art my sister to anyone that shall ask thee, in order that we may escape the evil of the inhabitants of the land. Now, here we go again. We just did this when we were in the land of Egypt. Now he's getting ready to do this all over again. Now, I'm trying to find out what was the reasoning behind this. Do he not know that the Most High and the angels will protect them? Do he not know that he's already had a witness of the angels protecting Sarah from this? Verse 3. And as Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Philistines, the servant of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, saw that Sarah was exceedingly beautiful. Everybody keeps seeing Sarah being beautiful. All these servants keep seeing Sarah as a beautiful woman. Sarah was exceedingly beautiful, and they asked Abraham concerning her. He said, "She is my sister." Man up. You know, why you didn't just say that this is my wife? Don't look at her. I don't get the understanding yet why he wouldn't say that. All right. And the servants of Abimelech went to Abimelech, saying, "A man from the land of Canaan is come to dwell in the land, and he has a sister that is exceedingly fair." Verse 5, and Abimelech heard the words of his servant, who praised Sarah to him. And Abimelech sent his officers, and they brought Sarah to the king. Verse 6, and Sarah came to the house of Abimelech, and the king saw that Sarah was beautiful, and she pleased him exceedingly. Verse 7, and he approached her and said to her, "What is that man to thee with whom thou didst come to our land?" And Sarah answered and said, "He is my brother, and we came from the land of Canaan to dwell wherever we could find a place." And Abimelech said to Sarah, "Behold, my land is before thee. Place thy brother in any part of the land that pleases thee, and it will be our duty to exalt and elevate him above all the people of the land, since he is thy brother." And Abimelech sent for Abraham, and Abraham came to Abimelech. Verse 10, and Abimelech said to Abraham, "Behold, I have given orders that thou shalt be honored, as thou desired on account of thy sister Sarah." Verse 11, and Abraham went forth from the king, and the king's presence followed him. Verse 12, at evening time, behold, men lie down to rest. The king was sitting upon his throne, and a deep sleep, here we go, and a deep sleep fell upon him, and he lay upon the throne and slept till morning. Verse 13, and he dreamed that the angel of the Most High came to him with a drawn sword in his hand, and the angel stood over Abimelech and wished to slay him with the sword. And the king was terrified in his dream, and said to the angel, "In what have I sinned against thee, that thou comest to slay me with thy sword?" Verse 14, and the angel answered and said to Abimelech, "Behold, thou didst on account of the woman which thou didst yesternight bring to thy house, for she is a married woman, and the wife of Abraham who came to thy house. Now therefore return that man his wife, for she is his wife, and should thou not return her, know that thou wilt surely die, thou and all belonging to thee." Verse 15, on that night was a great outcry in the land of the Philistines, and the inhabitants of the land saw the figure of a man standing with a drawn sword in his hand, and he smote the inhabitants of the land with the sword. Yea, he continued to smite them. Verse 16, and the angel of the Most High smote the whole land of the Philistines on that night, and there was great confusion on that night and on the following morning. Verse 17, and every womb was closed in all their issues, and the hand of the Most High was upon them on account of Sarah, wife of Abraham, who Abimelech had taken. Verse 18, and in the morning Abimelech rose with terror and confusion, and with a great dread, and he sent and had his servants called in and related his dreams to them, and the people were greatly afraid. Verse 19, and one man standing among the servants of the king answered the king, saying, O sovereign king, restore this woman to her husband, for he is her husband. For the like happening to the king of Egypt when this man came to Egypt. They know about this. They know about this that happened up in Egypt also. Verse 20. And he said concerning his wife, she is my sister, for such it is his manner of doing when he cometh to dwell in the land in which he is a stranger. They know of the history of Abraham now. Verse 21. And Pharaoh sent and took this woman for a wife, and the Most High brought upon him grievous plagues until he returned the woman to her husband. Verse 22. Now therefore, O sovereign king, know what happened yesternight to the whole land, for there was a very great constitution, great pain and lamentation, and we know that it was on account of the woman which thou didst take. Verse 23. Now therefore restore this woman to her husband, lest it should befall us as it did to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his subjects, and that we may not die. And Amalek hastened and called and had Sarah called for, and she came before him, and he had Abraham called for, and he came before him. Verse 24. And Amalek said to them, what is the work you have been doing in saying you are brother and sister? And I took this woman for a wife. Verse 25. And Abraham said, because I thought I should suffer death on account of my wife, and Amalek took flocks and herds and men servants and maid servants and 1,000 pieces of silver, and he gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah to him. Verse 26. And Amalek said to Abraham, behold, the whole land is before thee. Dwell in wherever thou shalt choose. Verse 27. And Abraham and Sarah his wife went forth from the king's presence with honor and respect. And they dwelt in the land, even in Gerar. Verse 28. And all the inhabitants of the land of the Philistines and the king's servants were still in pain, though the plague which the angel had inflicted upon them the whole night on account of Sarah. Verse 29. And Amalek sent for Abraham, saying, pray now for thy servants to the Most High thy God, that he may put away this mortality from among us. Verse 30. And Abraham prayed on account of Amalek and all his subjects, and the Most High heard the prayer of Abraham, and he healed Amalek and all his subjects. This is the end of chapter 20. We will begin next Sunday, chapter 21. I want to thank you all for joining with us on this long night. Not bad that we got through with those particular chapters. Join us again for another edition of the Book of Jasher, where we will be in chapter 21. And don't forget, on Tuesday, we are going to be continuing with Esau and Jacob, talking about the war with Esau and Jacob, identity of Esau and Jacob on CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And don't forget as well, Pastor Maurice Item will be our special guest here on the Let's Talk Show on Thursday, February the 28th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on the Men Talk Radio Show. So until next time, if no questions or comments, we will go ahead and wrap it up, and I will see you all on Tuesday at CSI. And don't forget, the Gathering of Christ Church is on Blog Talk Radio 4 times a week. Just look them up right here at Blog Talk Radio, or go to their website at www.gatheringofchrist.org. Until next time, my name is Malachi. I will see you on Tuesday at 8 p.m. on CSI. Shalom.
Sunny war no more, live in shalom. Only 144,000 of Jacob will make it in. It's Christ your friend, no need to pretend. Here's the question: did you walk in faith or did you walk in sin? Did you keep the law or did you pick and choose? Did you tell the truth about who's the real Jew? There's no excuse, you had the truth, but you closed the book and turned on the news. And when Christ breaks the sky, every satellite will fall from space, hit the earth and die. And then right after disaster from the master, puzzled faces looking for the rapture. True, the day that Christ provides birth so they can walk in heaven here on earth.
American dream, a family, a dog, a picket fence, and house that is clean. That's through the habit, it's just led me astray. The root of evil is money, it ain't the most highway. 144,000 will bask in his glory. Life is an apartment building, cause there's more than one story. I accepted the most high, and what was I on? Data past like Mike, and I'm the future like LeBron. I follow the commandments, cause the most high said so. Red Bull and Xbox will get your wings in a halo. My people is flying, and it's making me sick. Just because you repent ain't putting you on that list. Ain't no cutting in line, ain't no paying the dough, man. Don't matter if you're rich or whether you're poor, man. If you obedient and you're filled with the faith, then the upper room will be your final resting place, and that's heaven.
The throne of the Father, you still sinning, don't even bother. You not going if you follow Sean Carter. A little Wayne, he another Carter. From Obama back to Jimmy Carter. America not Babylon, it's just a daughter. Told us the bitches that shine like 3/4. Son's gon' die, you make it call a martyr. Don't elevate your mind and it cause expansion. I want a room in a heavenly mansion. Don't try to figure it out your path, don't let it choose you. You can play it back, I'm not trying to confuse you. Poetical prophet, truth that be the gifted. Cerebral technician, the microphone I lifted. Thinking you can take to get in, you can save it. Signing off quad to 6-foot David.
Let me tell you what it feel like. Real right, so I'm back in the feel like. Examine yourself before the judge come in the heat of the night like O'Connor. So I'm gonna show you how to live it when I spit it through the spirit. Hope you feel it. This is the spirit that teaches when you hear it. So when it's deaf ears, it's deaf there. So don't step there. But self-rearrange and let the Most High change you, my brother. Cause that's what I utter with them dead bones hang. Freedom, the strange fruit that used to hang. Now spitting out truth for the youth to change. To see us like heaven. When them guns down, when the word is your weapon and the Lord to your weapon. Not Baal, but our master in heaven. And there's no more jails for the nation. That's heaven. Yes, that's heaven. Heaven.